Coming up on Focal Point, Michigan State University churns out thousands of proud alumni who are at the tops of their fields. Forensic anthropologists, referees,
first down,
and, hold your breath, hockey players who shoot the puck underwater. Hang on, it's a beehive of activity.
We'll show you how a program at MSU is connecting shelter dogs here at the Ingham County Animal Shelter and survivors of sexual assault.
I'll tell you guys about a local boxing gym here in the Lansing area that does a lot more than just teach kids how to box.
Focal Point starts now.
Hi everyone, and welcome to this week's special edition of Focal Point. I'm Katie Barecki.
And I'm Brandon Rothenberg. How about numbers? 50,000 students, 566 buildings, 5,700 faculty and academic staff. Oh, and the amount of cool stuff students, alumni, and faculty are doing. Numbers too many to mention.
But we can show you some in this show we call Cool Stuff Spartans Are Doing. We start off with a cool multimedia journalist named Tony Black. He's at Fee Hall digging up the truth about forensic scientists.
This used to be a dorm, but now behind these doors are classrooms, offices, and the home of two people who are a rare breed of professionals.
I worked on the flight that crashed in Somerset, Pennsylvania.
It's not every day,
which was United Flight 93.
we think about what happens after life. But for Dr. Joe Hefner, it's his job.
I was responsible for victim identification.
He's a forensic anthropologist.
So I'm an expert in the human skeletal system. I'm an expert in bones.
Bones. That's his expertise. To identify someone based on their skeleton, and he's worked on some serious cases.
That is a piece of the aircraft from United Flight 93.
This is where Dr. Hefner does his studies, but he doesn't want anyone to know the room or the floor, because it's a way for him to honor his work.
We actually have a relatively small lab.
But this may be his most serious work, here at MSU.
Everything that's done in here is strictly analytical.
Teaching what he knows to future anthropologists.
We're one of 6 PhD programs in the country. We are one of the only programs that has 2 board-certified forensic anthropologists working on it.
Because in an industry with only about 130 board-certified professionals, it's important that more people find this field.
And I teach some of the brightest undergraduate students that I've ever interacted with.
Well, I would probably say they're in their teens.
Kelly Kamnikar did. She's a PhD student at MSU.
I'm usually here from 8 to 4 every day, and probably sometimes on the weekends as well.
Because for this Spartan, she knows her work means something.
Just trying to associate some human remains with a name and kind of resolve that information for maybe family members of the living is really rewarding.
Rewarding and definitely impactful.
You never forget your first case, and you never forget your last, but you don't really forget any of the ones in between that either.
Dr. Hefner and his team look at biological factors of the skeleton to determine things like age, sex, and the ancestry. They work on cases on the local, state, and even the federal level. In Fee Hall, Tony Black, Focal Point News.
We like to say that Michigan State University pushes the boundaries of discovery. It's one of the top research institutions in the world. And this next story on this special edition of Focal Point is like the big one that didn't get away. We're talking how important freshwater fisheries are in some parts of the world. The data comes from research done right here. Here's Focal Point's Luke Saccone.
There's a global challenge to feed rural and poor populations. A new study, however, finds that there's a key source to help providing the proper nutrients to those communities that need it. Just take a trip to the nearest river, or lake, or canal. Then dive underwater to find the scaly source, freshwater fish.
Inland fisheries are particularly important for some countries.
Abigail Bennett helped research and find the power in freshwater fisheries around the world.
95% of the world's inland fisheries production comes from developing countries.
Recently, developed countries have turned to more recreational fisheries as opposed to commercial fisheries. This is because they do not depend on fisheries as do developing countries.
But there are particular communities living in the Amazon region that depend almost entirely on inland fish.
From Michigan to China, Thomas Locke researches fisheries all over the world.
I'm collaborating with a research group out there who also raise cold water fish.
Frank Lupi is exploring the economic impact that inland fisheries have.
Globally, a lot of the the value of inland fisheries is going to be associated with food production.
When we're helping track the health and also intervening on the behalf of the fish to ensure that they're healthy, that means that there's going to be more of these fish that are available.
In East Lansing, I'm Luke Saccone, Focal Point News.
There are still gaps in data for inland fisheries, but researchers continue to gather evidence on the impacts. This will help justify claims to policymakers to support fisheries.
The special edition of Focal Point is called Cool Stuff Spartans Are Doing. But what if that Spartan is a machine? Does that count? There's got to be a human or two behind it, right? Well, it's really the creative writing and poetry written by students that power this contraption.
If you've walked into the main library recently, you've probably seen this.
Prints pretty quickly. Oh, this is a long one.
It's called the Short Edition Short Story Dispenser, and librarian Michael Rodriguez says this is a new concept for libraries in America.
These are the first series of machines in Michigan.
Now what comes out of this machine might look like a receipt from a grocery store. But it's actually a piece of classical literature.
There's a lot of public domain stuff in there. So classic poetry like Emily Dickinson or Robert Frost that was published before 1923.
But it also has the potential to print local work.
The idea is going forward to have MSU and local content. So have students or staff or faculty upload their work, but then we can publish it on these machines.
There's 3 others across the Lansing area.
There's one here in the main library, there's one at the dairy store, there's one at the airport, and there's one at the East Lansing Public Library.
And graduate assistant Manasi Mishra loves how simple and easy this machine is.
So I tried it out and I pressed like a 1-minute button and I got like a short poem. And I was on my way out that time and I usually take the bus back home. So I thought this would be something nice to read on the way.
They have big ideas for this little machine.
I've been contacted by organizations like the MSU Archives, for instance. You know, they want to tell campus stories.
But for now,
we're just at stage 1 now. We're really just realizing, you know, the potentials of where we can take this.
If you want to submit your own work for review and possibly get published, go to msu.short-edition.com. Well, they say that New York is the city that doesn't sleep. And I'm sure that was the case for many Spartans this past weekend, right, Brandon?
Yep, no kidding, Katie. Several MSU students, including myself, traveled to New York last weekend with the Jewish campus organization Chabad, and we met up with hundreds of Jewish kids from all over the world.
Crown Heights, a small town nestled in the borough of Brooklyn, New York, is home to thousands of Jewish people from all walks of life. It's also where Pagisha Shabbat was held, an event that brings Jewish students from colleges all over the world, like Argentina.
Hola, acá los chicos de Argentina. ¿Cómo están? Pagisha, ¿todo bien?
Pagisha, c'est génial.
And Paris.
Hello.
It became a very wanted trip. Everybody wants to come. We don't have enough room. We always have to decline some students, unfortunately.
With several students from Michigan State, all of us were in a New York state of mind.
Oh, whoa.
I'm super excited to go shopping because they definitely have the best stores here in New York.
After breaking the bank in Times Square, we went back to Crown Heights to prepare for Shabbat, a celebration from sunset Friday night till sunset on Saturday.
Each Shabbaton is spectacular in its own way. You meet new people, you have new experiences.
Which brings us to Havdalah. This follows the end of Shabbat and includes prayers with a whole lot of singing and dancing. We visited the historic tombstone of the Rebbe, a rabbi who is considered to be one of the most influential Jewish leaders of all time. There's murals, pictures of him in people's homes, and even on postcards. It's customary to write a letter, rip it up, and put it on the grave. Next, we got a tour of a mikveh, which is the most sacred part of Judaism. It's primarily used by women, typically before they are married, and is used to cleanse the soul. The water you see is actually rainwater and is gathered on the outside of the building and is then transferred into the mikveh where it is filtered for use.
The city of Crown Heights is everything, from Judaica shops to wig stores, and even some really good falafel.
Wigs are worn by women after they have married. They are used as a sign to other men that shows that they are married and off limits to those who might be interested. After snacking on some falafel, we ended our day at a Judaica store. These stores sell products from books and toys to yarmulkes and mezuzahs, which you can hang on your door. The city of Crown Heights is a whole different world, hidden inside the city that never sleeps.
As you can see, Katie, New York was an amazing time showing off more of the cool things that Spartans are doing. And one of the best parts was that it didn't snow and we had great weather all weekend long.
Hey, that's awesome. Glad you had fun, Brandon. Very cool.
Coming up next, more cool things Spartans are doing, including how we are helping animals heal people. It's a new MSU program that you don't want to miss.
But first, what's it like to be in charge of an entire newscast? How about 2 or 3? Scripts have to be written, and we here at Focal Point certainly know that. The timing has to be perfect, and the show has to be interesting and meaningful for viewers. That's what MSU and Focal Point alum Ryan Cole deals with on a daily basis as he produces broadcasts at 9 and 10 News in Cadillac, Michigan. Here's Ryan, and then a break. Our producers here are making all this happen.
Hey everyone, Ryan Cole here. I'm a news producer at 9 and 10 News, Northern Michigan's news leader, and just took a break from producing the 5 o'clock show. That's my show, coming up with everything as far as graphics, video, scripts, everything in between, all the behind the scenes stuff. That's what I do for my job, and if it wasn't for Focal Point, I wouldn't be here. I was in Focal Point for 1 year. Spring 2018, I was a news and sports reporter and anchor, and then in the fall of 2018, I was kind of the executive producer for the sports department. And you know, the best memory though of Focal Point has to be becoming the first student to ever do karaoke with Bob Gould, not once but twice. Pretty awesome, let me just say that. So, you know, 9 and 10, it's actually pretty Chippewa heavy, a lot of CMU Chippewas here, but it is pretty cool that we are expanding with Spartans here. We have 5 now in the newsroom. Focal Point, you know, it's really the reason that I have this job. It taught me 3 things really that I think have been very important to my job. Have an attention to detail, be dependable, and know the people around you and know their strengths and bring out their strengths. And it also taught me to say yes to every opportunity, and that's why now I'm actually back in the sports world a little bit. We're headquartered here in Cadillac, Michigan. That's where I live. Living up north is, you know, pretty cool. I mean, we did just get our first snow of the year, so, you know, a long winter, but there's so much to do up here. Breweries, wineries, you can go golfing, you can go hiking, you can go see the fall colors and everything. Go to a lake in the summer. Again, if I could say anything, just have an attention to detail, be dependable, and know the strengths of those around you. Bring them out. Thanks, guys. Go green.
It's not every day that you see veterinarians and therapists working together for a common cause, but that's what's happening here.
Yeah, Brandon, a new program at MSU is helping sexual assault survivors while giving shelter dogs a second chance.
These dogs at the Ingham County Animal Control Center may not have a home now, but they could under a new program at MSU. It's called Justice Heals, a project these women from the College of Veterinary Medicine and the Center for Survivors created to connect shelter dogs to sexual assault survivors.
The program is a journey that we would work with the survivors and the dogs from start to whatever their finish is.
The dogs would live with foster families and work with people from the Veterinary Medicine Program and the Center for Survivors to receive extra training. The dogs and the survivors would gradually meet until they became comfortable with each other. Then there's the possibility for adoption.
And this all started because of Justice, a guide dog turned therapy dog that now helps sexual assault survivors.
Working with an imperfect therapy dog, if you will, was incredibly powerful for the survivors with whom she works.
Justice.
I love Justice.
The namesake for the program.
She's hilarious, she's animated, funny, silly. She really seems to notice what survivors need in that moment and really can gravitate towards what those needs are.
Right now, it's still in the early stages, but they plan on choosing dogs from Ingham County Animal Control starting next semester, as well as finding foster families.
If we make a difference for one survivor and one dog, I would feel proud.
Dr. Hoffensberger said the program could serve as a blueprint for other communities or even other college campuses.
We just observed Veterans Day across the nation, but one program at Michigan State aims to honor veterans for months at a time. We've heard of service animals. Could the same be true of bees? Focal Point's Alyssa Burr says yes, and shows us how and why our greatest soldiers and our greatest pollinators are together.
It hurts when you get stung.
Jeremy Lee Huffman knows the feeling.
There's no joke about it.
With the damaging effects of serving in the military, which lingered with him once he left. But he's found a way to heal with Heroes to Hives.
You take care of the bees and they're going to take care of you too.
A program through Michigan State University Extension where veterans have the chance to serve in a different way.
It's an awesome way to continue to serve.
By protecting honeybees. In exchange, the work serves as therapy for veterans.
She was real shriveled up as far as her abdomen was concerned.
Adam Ingrayo, an Army vet and agricultural entomologist,
I think I have the best job in the world.
Founded the program in 2015.
A lot like my own personal experience, that beekeeping actually was serving as a healing modality for a lot of these veterans as they transition from the military and just try to become more connected with their community.
Veterans in the Heroes to Hive program have no problem finding community amongst their little friends. All you need is a veil and definitely a lot of courage.
I've always been a loner, so I can be by myself with my bees.
The MSU program is also working to help protect the world's pollinators.
Like we serve in the military, we protect our national security. As beekeepers and as farmers, we protect our food security in this country.
Many people can't deal with the buzz or fear of being stung.
Veterans are the ideal demographic to be doing it. I mean, we're trainable, we're hardworking, a little bit of adrenaline never did us the wrong way.
But Huffman knows it's the bees that help them heal.
You know, we're going to be part of something that's bigger and better than ourselves again.
In East Lansing, Alyssa Burr, Focal Point News.
It's now the end of the season for the Heroes to Hives program. With nearly 300 students, they plan to expand the program next year to benefit more veterans throughout Michigan and even other states.
It was born in Windsor, Nova Scotia around 1800. Ice hockey is a true Canadian sport. Well, unless some Spartans put a cool twist on it. Focal Point's Luke Saccone went to great depths for this story. He didn't just stay in the shallow end. Confused? Here's Luke in the snow to unwrap it.
It's the first snow. That means it's definitely not swimming weather, but hockey weather here in Michigan. But is it possible to put the two together, swimming and hockey? One club does just that right there. Here's the story.
I just kind of want to get swimming, you know?
So we take a weighted puck and we take foot-long sticks,
a couple of goals, and this group of students. Throw them all into a pool, and what you get is underwater hockey. It's an odd sport. Just ask Emily Nessel.
I looked at it and I said, wow, this is really bizarre. I'm gonna do it.
And it's not just some random sport conjured up by MSU students.
But the sport itself has been around, I think, for like 40 or 50 years.
Although Graham Hotchkiss continues the sport's legacy on campus.
It started back in, I think, 2002.
In order to play hockey, you need a hockey stick and a hockey puck, which weighs 6 pounds in order for it to stay underwater. You'll also need goggles to see underwater, and when you're done, a towel to dry up.
And we also don't have like a dedicated goalie as opposed to like regular hockey. We've got someone in the goal, just because if we did, they'd probably drown.
Some may argue it's more hockey than swimming.
1 forward, 3 mids, 2 backs.
For others, it might be more swimming than hockey.
I swam in high school, so I always liked being in the water. But
These students swim like dolphins and play like Gretzky, all at the same time.
The biggest learning curve that we have is learning how to breathe, or I guess learning how not to breathe.
Heather Roney started playing just earlier this year.
It's definitely a sport, it's definitely physical, but you can have fun with it.
But it's something she wholly enjoys.
Well, I met some of my best friends here, and it's kind of, we all just like to kind of goof off. So
this is probably one of the better things I do here at school.
It kind of speaks for itself. I mean, it's underwater hockey, that's about it.
The club hosts one tournament every year here at Michigan State University. They're also able to play all year round, which allows them to travel to other places such as Canada. That's all here from Jennison Fieldhouse. Katie and Brandon, back to you.
Katie, I can't rollerblade, I can't roller skate, but I think underwater hockey would be the perfect gig for me.
Hey, that sounds like a plan. I'm going to stay on land for this one, though.
Sounds good. Coming up on this special edition of Focal Point called The Cool Things Spartans Are Doing, we meet one man who is lending local kids a helping hand, or love.
But first, how about another success story? We're pretty sure that news anchor and Emmy winner Jasmine Bailey is happy in her amazing career, but she's probably not missing the snow. Here she is from WESH TV in warm and sunny Orlando.
Hi, my name is Jasmine Bailey. I was in Focal Point from 2010 to 2011. I was both an anchor and a reporter, and now I'm a morning anchor at WESH 2 News, the NBC affiliate in Orlando, Florida. When I was in Focal Point, I really took away the idea that you should try new things and never be afraid to go the extra mile for a story. So one time I got under a bus in the freezing cold for a stand-up, but it really paid off. And I think that creativity still shows up in my stories today, even if I've dialed it down just a bit. My favorite piece I've done recently was a story about postpartum depression and a new FDA-approved drug to treat it. I searched all over the internet for a mom who received the treatment, and finally I found a mom who would talk to me. It was a really good story, and I heard from so many viewers who reached out thanking me for normalizing some of their issues like anxiety, postpartum rage, and even thoughts of harming themselves or their kids. My favorite thing to do in Orlando is to explore. There are so many great festivals, there's art installations, of course there's Disney, and it's perpetual summer here, so the pool or the beach is a really great choice too. But honestly, I spend a lot of my time speaking to young girls and women and sharing my story. In addition to being an anchor, I'm also an author and domestic violence survivor, so while Orlando inspires me, I try my best to inspire people here in Orlando.
The Michigan State cross country team has gone under the radar for quite some time, despite all its success. Focal Point Sam Britton introduces us to a couple of Spartan runners that have made a difference on the team.
Could you actually start running before you could start walking?
I would say, honestly, since I've been like 2 or 3.
I guess 6th grade, 11 years old. No equipment necessary.
You just need yourself and a pair of shoes, and it's relaxing. And
Michigan State cross country. Running is usually punishment in other sports, but for Annie Fuller and Morgan Beadlescombe, running through the woods and sometimes in mud couldn't be more appealing.
It's you against you, but you are also competing with a team and have this cohesive group of girls that are going toward the same goal.
I mean, even the community is great. Kind of a tight-knit community. You can start talking to anyone no matter what their event is.
A program doesn't get as successful as this one without a great head coach, but Walt Drenth gives all the credit to his runners.
I think we just found the right combination of kids and had an expectation of success.
Let's just stay outside the lines here.
Now in his 14th year coaching at MSU, Drenth has 4 Coach of the Year awards, 15 All-Americans, and a national championship. But what gives him the most joy is watching his runners improve.
I mean, my X, Y's, and Z's are more about the growth of the student athletes than anything.
Fuller was an All-American last season with a chance to repeat this year. If she does repeat, her family will need to break out the tissues.
My uncles are just the toughest guys ever. Like, I've never seen them cry in my life, and they were crying for me.
It's an emotional sport.
I just started bawling and hugging everybody.
A mental battle for 3 to 6 miles.
It's a time to zone out and not focus on classes, not focus on, what's going on at home.
Mile to mile. Michigan State will continue its dominance under the radar. Sam Britton, Focal Point News.
The women's cross-country team is still Michigan State's only female sports team to win a national championship, and the Spartans just keep adding to their trophy case. The team just recently won their 5th Big Ten title. Individually, Annie Fuller finished in 3rd place, earning her Big Ten honors along with India Johnson and Geraldine Poe.
In the fall, everybody's weekends are consumed with football. Friday nights at high schools, Saturdays is college football, and on Sunday, the NFL.
While everyone is watching from the stands, one MSU student is right in the middle of it all. Griffin Stroyne joins us now with more on that story. Griffin?
Yeah, guys, you know, very few people have experienced the sideline of a football game or a press box on the same game day, but for this student, it's just another day in the office. Michigan State junior Eric Bach hasn't missed a Friday night football game in a long time. But he doesn't sit in the stands or play on the field.
First down, fix that shoulder pad. Don't have to, we got corner coming. Down, down, down. Had him in, touchdown.
He's the referee. It's always been as black and white to him as the shirt he wears.
This is what we're here for, man.
But being on the sideline makes a lot of sense for Eric. It's where he's always been.
My dad was a high school varsity football coach, so I was always on the sidelines. That was just a whole part of my week.
And while being a referee isn't the most glamorous job,
Man, hey, I got 4 bodies between me and you. You probably had a better view of it than I did. I understand.
For him, he gets to do what he loves.
Let's go, guys, let's go.
And his weekend isn't finished. On Saturdays, he leaves his spot on the sideline.
Play action. Lewerke's going to take a shot down the field. Cody White's wide open. He's got him inside the 10.
To get a better view.
It was surreal.
Eric is also the voice of Spartan football.
Lewerke throws to the outside. You got to complete to Dotson.
On Michigan State's student campus radio station.
Hello and welcome.
2 totally different sides of football.
Option look.
But doing play-by-play for MSU is something he's always wanted to do.
Touchdown, Michigan State.
So I'm sitting there for a second going, wow, this is what I want to do. And it was a cool moment.
Eric's schedule and workload is big, but nothing was as heavy as the weight he carried on his shoulders.
I was just tired of that, and honestly, I was just ready for people to know.
Ready for people to know this: that he's gay. He came out in a big way with this article.
People were shocked.
But this new detail hasn't impacted what he does.
Now they rush 4.
It hasn't really affected any relationship that I have. It's just kind of another detail of my life that people now know that they didn't know before.
For Eric, he's not sure if he prefers a whistle or a mic yet.
Like I said, I'm gonna be doing both as long as I can.
But he doesn't have to choose just yet.
I love spending as much time as I can on both of them.
And now that football season is coming to an end, Eric's focus will switch to basketball. He'll referee games at both the high school and collegiate level and try to broadcast as many games as possible. Now, Help a Willing Kid is a program here at Michigan State that is known as Hawk, and it does exactly what it says it does. And this Spartan is doing things that help kids in just a really different way.
Come on, put the equipment up. Let's get in the ring, let's go.
Every Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday after school, this building fills up.
We have a youth boxing program, so kids that are age 8 to 17 can come in and box.
With non-paying customers.
Jab, hold it out there. Well, the program that we have is a free program for all the youth in the Lansing area.
You could say that boxing is Ali Easley's life.
Come on, get your punch up a little, eye level.
Really, it's the kids he cares about the most because it makes them strong. Well, actually, Jalen says it perfectly.
Be stronger enough.
And then combination number 3. 1, 2, and move. 1, 2, now move.
For almost 30 years, Coach Easley has opened up his Crown Boxing Club to kids like Zaire Doyle.
I like boxing because I can just get stressed out. If I'm holding something in, I can just hit the bag.
Besides running a boxing business, Easley finds it's important to give back to his community.
Gives them a sense of workout, figure how to develop work skills, hard work.
A counterpunch to kids having to roam the streets with nothing to do.
I get a lot of satisfaction out of it by seeing the growth and development of the kids, seeing them do better in school, seeing that they're not getting, arrested or in trouble.
In fact, he cares so much.
Excuse me for just a minute. Excuse me, I gotta answer the phone.
It was tough for him to even stand still for an interview. He's got more important things to do.
All right, do it again. You gotta stay focused, man.
From little ones like Jalen.
I'm learning what to hook to.
To college kids like Matthew Alati. It's one giant neighborhood under one roof.
It's actually really cool. I met 3 or 4 of them, made a pretty good friend with them. I've met one of their dads actually.
This isn't just about boxing.
And then when we're done, they have an hour's worth of tutoring where they're fed and they take care of their homework assignments, everything for the next day.
It's helping them.
That's it, 3 combinations, understand?
Through all the different rounds of life. The tutor session after boxing is done by students here at Michigan State. They help the students in whatever subject they're struggling with the most. Guys, I don't know about you, but for me, that would have been math.
Yeah, Griffin, I'm with you. There's a reason why I'm a journalism major.
Katie, I am also in that boat.
Yes. All right. Well, that's all the time we have for this week's special edition of Focal Point. We hope you enjoyed seeing all the cool things Spartans are doing. I'm Katie Barecki.
And I'm Brandon Rothenberg. For Griffin Stroin and all the rest of us here in Focal Point, we'll see you next time.